To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. This is a consummation devotedly to be wished. This is, without any doubt, the most famous soliloquy of all times, which we find in the play Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. This passage starts with an existential choice, to be or not to be, which can be read on two levels. Firstly, the option is between accepting life and remaining passive, to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or taking action against what oppresses us in order to stop it, to take arms against the sea of troubles. The vocabulary of battle, slings, arrows, take arms, indicate the violence of the intimate struggle that Hamlet is experiencing. In line 5, we find to die, to sleep. And this is the second level of interpretation of Hamlet's existential choice. So, to be or not to be also refers to the option between life and death. Hamlet is debating whether he should live or commit suicide. However, he never says I or me. We find we, which refers to human beings. So the whole debate is philosophical rather than personal. In these lines, Shakespeare is comparing death to sleep. In sleep, we find rest because all the sufferings that are typical of human nature stop while we sleep. And that is why we long for sleep, we desire to sleep. So, if dying is like sleeping, and if dying would put an end to our sufferings, then it would be logical to kill oneself. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Ay, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's a respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the lost delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would these fathers bear to grunt and sweat under weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, passes the will, and makes us rather bear the ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. So we said that the logical consequence of Hamlet's reasoning should be suicide. Here at the end of line 9, we find the comparison between dying and sleeping again. But before, Hamlet said that sleeping meant the end of human sufferings. Here in line 10, however, he says that when we sleep, we may dream. And he comments that this is the rub, l'inghippo, l'ostacolo. L'ostacolo a cosa? Al suicidio, naturalmente. Because if anxiety may come in dreams, death may not be the end of our troubles. When we fall asleep, we don't know what type of dreams may come. We might have happy dreams, but we might also have nightmares. Here, the connection between dying and sleeping is very close because he's talking about shuffling off this mortal coil, quindi scrollarsi di dosso questo groviglio mortale, quindi la vita. So, not knowing what to expect after death, that is, the fear of the unknown, must give us pause, must stop us. Then, in the following passage, we find a list of human sufferings: the passing of time, the whips and scorns of time, political oppression, the oppressor's wrong, the arrogance of some men, the proud man's contumely, unrequited love, l'amore non corrisposto, the pangs of despised love, Law's lengthiness, le lungaggini della legge, the law's delay. Bureaucracy, the insolence of office. The abuse of the unworthy over worthy people, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes. I soprusi di persone indegne ai danni di persone meritevoli e di valore. So in lines 2021, Hamlet asks, why do people tolerate all this if they can put an end to it with a bare bodkin, con un semplice stiletto? Quindi semplicemente suicidandosi. He continues weighing the burden of life and the fear of the unknown, il peso della vita e il timore dell'ignoto. So Hamlet finds an explanation, a reason why people do not commit suicide, because we don't know what comes after death. So he says that we are afraid of the unknown, of this undiscovered country from whose bourne no travelers returns, questo territorio inesplorato dai cui confini nessun viaggiatore ritorna. And this fear shakes our willpower, scuote la nostra forza di volontà, and makes us choose the sufferings we already know rather than the uncertainty of the unknown. Quindi, the sufferings we already know, the ills we have, rather than the uncertainty of the unknown, then fly to others, piuttosto che viaggiare verso altri mali che noi non conosciamo. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hero of resolution is sicklied over with a pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pitched moment, with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Here we have the conclusion of Hamlet's reasoning. Conscience means thoughtfulness, riflessione, pensosità, that is human capacity to ponder, la capacità umana di riflettere. And this is what makes us human beings, ed è questo che rende noi, gli esseri umani, all cowards, tutti codardi. In che senso? Because when we think too much, we stop acting. Quando pensiamo troppo, smettiamo di agire. Action is described as something that has a color, so something powerful, strong, while thought is described as colorless, the pale cast of thought, la pallida cera del pensiero. But still, thought can stop action. Finally, if we look at the whole passage, we'll find that it contains a series of questions, each one leading to another. So we'll have 1, 2, 3 questions. And they denote Hamlet's confusion, uncertainty, and thoughtfulness. But there is no solution. So in the end, the question is it braver to kill oneself or to stay alive?